That being said, I still love the game to death and I play every day. See what I mean? The people that love this game the most have the most things to say about it because they love it so much. That will happen to you with any game. What's up, everybody? Today I woke up and I found out that Monster Hunter Wilds has mostly negative reviews on Steam. Now, one of the things that I've been trying to do since I started creating content for Monster Hunter is I want to be able to see the whole picture of what the players want from this game and the way that they look at this game, the general perspective about the franchise. And the more you look, you will find that people have so many different opinions and so many different reasons for why they like the game. However, when you start looking into the conversations that people have online, they can be just very, very polarized all the time. Like people that won't ever admit any kind of flaw of the game, and people that will purposely bash Monster Hunter Wilds for what it is. And so I want to hop on Steam today. I want to see some reviews. I want to see what people are saying and maybe comment on some of the takes that are given. But mostly I want to see like what is the general consensus that there is in the game, and see if that kind of like makes sense to you, or if some of the things that are said resonate with you. On the people here that are on YouTube. Maybe you can tell me in the comments how do you feel about these things. Also, forgive me for my voice. I'm all sorts of fucked up. I got sick. I don't know how, but it is what it is. All right, first review is actually in Spanish. El juego es buenísimo, pero tiene algo de lo que muchos se quejan y es la optimización. All right, so this person is actually talking about optimization. I thought one of the big issues for this was the optimization. After the last patch, a lot of people started reporting the amount of problems that the game has now when it comes to performance. Even I play Monster Hunter in the lowest settings. But even at that, I wouldn't have a lot of problems. The game would work fine for the most part. But now I actually have really heavy stutters, especially when loading into a zone. It's like unplayable for like a good 30 seconds whenever I get to any place. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is a Japanese player. This person is saying that they have been playing from Monster Hunter 2G, except 4 and 4G. And they have 260 plus hours in Hunter and Hunter rank 400 as of writing this. Actually, we can see here, like, at the time of the review, this person had 269 hours played, but they have kept playing. Like, they have 334 hours of playtime as of now, which kind of tells you that, this person likes the game. They keep playing. They want to be in the game, but apparently they have a lot of things to say about. Oh my god. What? How long is this? So I would not recommend the game to new and old players, but would keep an open mind when the expansion DLC comes out. Looking at the Steam active players, we can see 99% drop in active player count since launch 2 months ago. The people active right now are people like me who have played old Monster Hunter, or new people who have yet to finish this story. I don't really agree with the whole argument that people give about the player count, mostly because, Monster Hunter is not a live service game. They shouldn't be caring about the amount of people that are playing your game every day. Those metrics, I think, are things that investors or shareholders care about in order to see if it's a good idea to invest on a franchise. But for the case of Monster Hunter, I would argue that player count has no relation with... might have a correlation, but no, it's not. It has nothing to do with the success of the game, right? I would say that sales would be a better metric for that, but even then, even after the 10 million copies that Monster Hunter Wilds has sold, we still see these negative reviews and things like this, So maybe it's not that simple. We cannot really draw a conclusion from such a limited and maybe unrelated factor to this conversation. Okay, so something interesting. This person is saying I think it's okay to be explorative with new mechanics, but when it's not made well and good mechanics from old games are removed, obviously it causes a negative response. So basically saying like things that were added in Monster Hunter now in Wilds are removing the space of old mechanics that were appreciated maybe. And I can understand that. I think it was with the podcast with Monster Hunter that we talked a lot about how Monster Hunter mechanics can sometimes cannibalize themselves, which basically means that there's one thing that works better than the other, even though they were designed to fit different situations. It's like you're still gonna use the better option simply because it covers most of the situations, you know? They are also complaining about the business side. Like, they understand that they had to rush the game in order to make it into the fourth quarter, but that's a shareholder issue and not an excuse to the player. And with that, I agree. What we have now, like, you know, it is what it is, but I agree with that. Usually, like, these types of decisions shouldn't come at the expense of the player. Thinking of the lower bar to get new players is okay, but not giving good rich content removes the core fan base. Another sentiment that I've seen, and that I think that older players are trying to come to terms with this idea that this game, at least on release, was not really designed for them. It had a very new player experience focus, which is good because usually, sometimes what we have seen in other Monster Hunter titles is that the veil that you have to pierce in order to get to the point where the game kind of becomes fun and enjoyable is a little bit thick, and some people bounce off of that, which is, you know, if we want the franchise to grow and we want more people to enjoy this franchise, it's unfortunate, obviously, you know. But now we have like the opposite, where like old-time fans are feeling that they are bouncing off of this game, which is so, like, it's so weird that it's happening. Oh, and look at this. This is actually very interesting. This person says, if good hunters leave, then it causes a feedback loop that affects word of mouth and ends up dissuading new players. There's good parts to the game, but too many small micro issues adds up to the frustration and ends up with a bad taste. Yeah, I can relate. So, like, I found that interesting because the participation or the presence of old players, I think, has always been like a core experience of being a new player. When you find that veteran hunter that tells you, like, they teach you how to play, how mechanics work, they show you different things that are not so evident about the game, and so suddenly your experience becomes 10 times more enriched by this person just showing you how cool this game is. It's something that we talked about this on the Maple and Shincry podcast. Shincry was saying that there was a social aspect that he misses, that he cannot really find in Wilds. I would think that Monster Hunter is not necessarily a very social game, but the more I look into it, the more I find people that think that this social aspect is like super valuable and has been almost a defining aspect of their experience in the game, which obviously, like, that's also amazing. I think that's a really good way to get into a franchise, to just find people in the community that are very cool about it and that they teach you different things. That's great. That's amazing. All right, so now this person addresses like the good things and the bad things of the game. Mostly good things are like nice graphics, nice story, and the monsters. Like the designs of the monsters and the 4 apexes are really, really cool. But then they go off on the negative aspects. Like it says here, like volume, which basically addresses lack of content. Like it takes you such a small amount of time to clear the story. And so for a AAA game, a game that lasts for around 50 to maybe 70 hours, is expected, but Monster Hunter has been known for giving more playtime than just that. And that, I guess, dissonance makes it so that this person feels disappointed at the amount of time that you can spend in the game. I'm of the mentality that no game should expect to try to fight for your attention or to try to kind of manipulate you into engaging more with the game. I'm sick of that model. I've seen it in so many different places. I think it has no place in Monster Hunter. But I also acknowledge the fact that people expect Monster Hunter to be this long-lasting experience. So they can engage with the game for a long time simply because of the gameplay loop. It has always been so like so much about repetition and playing over and over and doing different things. And, you know, you don't really get to a point where you can feel satisfied with the game too quickly. So this is something that they are saying as well here. Average complaint on difficulty. We have already talked plenty about that in the community in general and in this channel also. Complaints about multiplayer, which I can understand. The UI is very, very unfriendly. Oh, and actually they address it here, like complaints about the UI. Weapon balance. Alright, so in short, this person is complaining about weapon variety in moveset and mainly in build. They really dislike the fact that you have like really limited options when it comes to set building, which I can understand as well. Alright, actual like short reviews. Incredible game, but it definitely needs urgent fixes to performance and server connections. I'm tired of how long it's taking to get into a server. Oh no, it's another one. Hazel. Why you do this to me, Hazel? Alright, so okay, so it's not a very long review. I've got mixed feelings about Monster Hunter Wilds. I had fun with it overall, and getting all the achievements was a good time, but it didn't really hit the same way Monster Hunter World did for me. Alright, so we still, to this day, have people comparing World to Monster Hunter Wilds, and I think that conversation is basically screwed. We're never going to have a very, like, unbiased perspective on that, because most people that got into World and therefore Iceborne played that iteration of the game in a much more polished and finished state than what we are seeing from Wilds. I do think that at some point Monster Hunter World had performance issues, but they were fixed rather quickly. I think that we're seeing a situation here with Wilds where every title update brings about different problems. And in fact, I find out about a video made by I Am Sasch that Maximum Might, you know, the allegedly buff that they gave to Maximum Might, where, you know, the timer has a different reset time, was actually a bug. It was not intended to be that way. So you're starting to see inconsistencies with the way that they are fixing or sometimes kind of like tweaking some of these elements of the game. Anyway, I think I'm digressing a little bit, but the main thing here is that there's so many people that have that had an impression about the game that was possible thanks to the exposure to a much more polished and much more finished experience, right? Which is not what we see with Wilds now. And, you know, there are obviously people that started in World at the beginning, on the very release. Some people came along the way, but apparently the vast majority of players that engaged with World, they played the game like once Iceborne was out already, which is already a completely different experience, you know. So that's my point. Like, I think that it's like the conversation between like comparing World to Wilds is so difficult because people had such different experiences with the game, and this is happening too already with Wilds. Like, the people that are buying the game now are probably going to have a blast going through all the content that there is, but the people that bought it from the beginning, you know, on release, we have seen all the things that, you know, all the inconsistencies and all the different things and the content shortage, and, you know, we've been there experiencing all of that, so we have a much more different picture from that. Alright, Capcom released another unfinished mess of a game, this time above MSRP, and obviously within finished content to pad their release schedule. I have a few hours, many of which are falling asleep with the game on AFK, hanging out with my wife. I will likely keep up with the events. The good focus mode is amazing. Hot take apparently. Yeah, it is kind of a hot take. Perfect guards, offset, weapon designs better than World. Being able to use the slinger with the weapon drawn. Layered armor system is an improvement over the old titles. And Capcom seems to be slowly fixing some of the things based on community feedback. Alright, actually, this part right here, very, very... Like, I really want to highlight this because it's something that we cannot stop appreciating. The fact that Capcom wants to take community feedback. And on that note, I recently took the Capcom survey. Which, if you haven't, please go do it. I'm gonna leave a link, if I can, to the Capcom survey. But if we want things like optimization and things like that to be improved, we have a channel, and it's probably the most direct option that we're gonna have to communicate with Capcom and to tell them that we need these things to be changed, you know. So let's really try to celebrate the fact that Capcom is actually wanting to communicate with the fan base. But also we should do our part and we should try to, you know, give them feedback when they're asking for it. So yeah, go do the Capcom the survey. Alright, the bad. Performance has only gotten worse since release. Split skills between weapons and armor make little sense and limits build diversity. All existing skills are now set up and group bonuses. Bowguns lost most of their identity. Several skills are bugged or so terrible that they are not worth using. Basic monsters need more HP. The crossover event with Street Fighter is garbage. Nah, it's not garbage. Come on. I get that the in-game purchases suck, maybe, but the Akuma like crossover is just so good. I've been having so much fun with that. It's not like it has no business going this hard. Like I'm super glad that they are doing things like these, and I hope that they do even wilder things in the future. While I understand the negative feedback due to the absolute dogshit optimization, the game itself is amazing and the gameplay loop is incredibly addictive. This person has played 63 hours, so yeah, I'm guessing that you're still like having fun with the game because you still probably have content to go through. But notice how the people that leave bad reviews have, like, almost all of them have above 100 hours of game time. Like, you have here 161, 123. This guy here has 344, and he was very thorough with his criticism of the game. Oh, here is somebody that has a positive review with 155. It's a good game, however, unlike the past two games, this one has a huge lack in content. You can beat the game and complete all the quests in about 40 hours. Unless you want to cron hunt, that's about it. Unlike Monster Hunter World, where you had to spend something like 200 hours to complete all the quests and unlock everything. This is a really good point. I miss the fact that we had so many optional quests in World. And many of them were maybe, like, really pointless. Like, they were just there. But, you know, it gave me something to do. Like, I remember it was one of the, like, hunter tickets. I don't remember which one. It was, like, the guild commission ticket, like, price, whatever, that was necessary for some weapons. And it was really, a really scarce ticket that you could get by doing the optionals. Okay, so here we have mixed feelings. A good review, but mixed feelings. The game looks great, and the monster roster is solid, but it doesn't capture the magic of Monster Hunter World. Man, we keep having these comparisons, dude. Game good, optimization bad. If you had good PC, I get it. If you have potato PC, don't get it yet. Shit. Should have known. Alright, well, Steam obviously has hundreds of reviews, but I also went to Reddit because somebody here posted the image, you know, of like mixed, not mixed, mostly negative reviews, and he's like, the hell happened? Basically, this like the same as me, you know? So we're gonna see what people are saying here. Can I maybe zoom this a little bit? My fucking boomer eyes cannot read. Anyway. As others said, the main reason is the optimization, but all Capcom has done to address it is optimized VRAM usage, when the actual thing keeping people from running the game is its excessive CPU utilization. Huh, well, guess I'm fucked then. Somebody's responding here saying, I'm sure the two DRMs forcibly shoved up the game's ass doesn't help it either. I have no idea what that is. Ultradius is saying here, performance, the game is in a bad shape on PC and no news about it. Devs need to focus on that. Okay, so another complaint about performance. It really seems that this whole thing about the negative reviews started happening because of the last title update, where people are now noticing just really bad issues of stuttering and FPS drops after the title update. Somebody says here, it's probably heightened right now as the latest update has caused some issues with compatibility for a lot of people's PCs, most of which can be somewhat remedied by clearing and recompiling the shader cache. Overall, the update actually improved performance for a lot of people, myself included, though that's obviously on the anecdotal side. Other than that, lots of people were hyped up, then disappointed by recent Capcom collaboration Street Fighter 6, which was compounded by a fairly egregious monetization of the majority of that new content added with the update. Given that Steam has a binary review option, it's fairly reasonable that people would just fall back to the negative option to express the concerns they have. I personally love the game overall, but haven't left a review yet. It would probably have to be a negative one at this point if I was being honest though. So I'm starting to see a trend here where most people that have criticisms about the game actually love the game. Or should I say, they love the franchise. And they keep playing Wilds because they love the franchise. So I'm kind of wondering, why is it that it is so difficult to have, you know, like constructive discussions about it, if most of the times the people involved in a conversation really like the game or the franchise? Most of the times. I know that some people actually like just straight up hate Wilds. Tekken Tag 2 says dogshit performance for almost no new content. Fair. The complaints are mostly about poor optimization, relatively thin content, horrendously designed UI, slow bug fixes to create more bugs. Yeah, actually true. Recent weapon nerfs, and very unimpressive roadmap about TU2. As for poor optimization, yeah, there's not much to say. RE Engine becomes one of the most hated game engines that I know of lately, and Capcom designed the game with PS5 in mind, not really PC. Relatively thin content is something that even official streamers have been complaining about lately. If you want to optimize loot, there isn't really a reason to hunt anything but Arc Belt. Even with the addition of more 8-star temper monsters, this has not changed. Archon weapons aren't that much better than regular weapons, and it's super easy to get a good enough roll to the point that it doesn't really serve as a time sink to keep the invested players going. As much as the curio crafting was hated, it didn't have this issue. As for UI, what the actual fuck? What's funny is that the UI designers are giving a tutorial lecture in Japan on how to make good and immersive UIs. Or something like that? And Japanese players have been mocking how shamelessly... What? This is news to me. What's going on here? I mean, I can see that happening on the industry all the time. I haven't watched it, but Ian... What's his name? The guy that works at Warcraft. Ian Hasekostas? Something like that. That guy gave a presentation about game design, MMO game design, and man, for the state that Warcraft is in right now, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I will watch it eventually. I want to watch it simply out of curiosity, but to go there and to like give a presentation, I mean, the guy has years of experience, so he's much of an authority figure than I will ever be, obviously, but still, it's one of those like strange dissonances of when you're the player, you see these things and you can see how they are not really working sometimes, and then the person is giving like a whole talk, like a TED talk about this thing, like as an authority figure. That's just it's just weird. Slow bug fixes is another issue. Like, look at Night Rain, they made a bug fix patch in like 3 days. For Wilds, it took them 3 whole months to not just fix, but even announce the existence of the well-documented bug that has been around since release. Some bugs were even in the open beta test. The most recent patch dealt with many bugs, but many players were locked out of playing that game due to crashes because of said patch. The roadmap for the next TU is literally just new monster and new festival and nothing else. Not to mention that it's new monster. Singular. Okay, this person is really pissed about this. That being said, I still love the game to death and I play every day. See what I mean? The people that love this game the most have the most things to say about it because they love it so much. That will happen to you with any game. It's a natural reaction to seeing the thing you love be so like different, and it must be so like confusing to have all of these conflicting feelings about the game when you love the franchise so much. I think we can say that we are all on the same page, that we want Monster Hunter to be the best version that it can be because we love this game so much. But there's so many things that are just all over the place right now. And this is why the fights on the internet start, because we think that a person like pointing out at obvious flaws of the game doesn't love the game. No! They probably love it as much as you, right? One of the worst optimizations from an AAA company I've ever seen. They deserve this. Also, optimization is not the only issue the game has. It has so much more. Alright, very ominous there at the end, but yeah, another optimization complaint. Somebody here complaining that this is not World 2, so the honeymoon period has worn off. You know what? That's probably true. And it's probably going to happen for more and more people as we move on to the future. The honeymoon phase was mixed reviews phase. That's okay, yeah, that's pretty terrible. Calling it badly optimized would be an insult towards to other badly optimized games. It's absolute utter garbage and they show zero signs on even trying to fix anything. Alright, this, Invisible1439 also very angry about this, I can understand. Valid. The game seems rushed and title updates so far is utter garbage. Wasted potential. We still have to see about that. I wouldn't call it wasted potential. If anything, I have the feeling that Monster Hunter Wilds has the most potential out of any iteration of the game. Because if you look at the size of the maps and just the overall spine of the game, how malleable some of the playstyle things are, and we saw this with the Yakuma crossover, right? They can pretty much make up shit now. It doesn't work very well, it's kind of clunky, but it works. You can absolutely hunt an entire hunt with only the Yakuma moveset, right? So I think that they have these really, really malleable game, and in order to reach that state, they needed to have the game be so maybe a little bit bland at the beginning. It's because now it's like we have the pizza, we only have the pizza dough, and they added the tomato sauce and the cheese. But now it's time to add the toppings. It's like they're gonna fill it with really good shit. That's how I feel, at least. Infinite Box Works says last update made the game unplayable for me. Before it was playable, but the FPS was somewhat low for master race standards, like 45-55 range, and models looked a bit muddy. Now it gives me 15 to 25 FPS started constantly, and even minimum settings does not make a difference even though I run a 3080 Ti and my GPU usage has plenty of memory to spare. So this is what I was saying earlier. A lot of people have reported many problems with performance, actually. The hype no longer blinds the bad on this game, at least for me and my friends. Probably the worst game on PC performance-wise, endgame that is not very good, and a pretty lame collab. Alright, there is some valid criticism. The performance is a huge point as it shouldn't run as bad as it does. There's no need for seamless transitions for the first 3 areas, it's never used except for one story mission. That is actually a very good point. I feel like they sacrificed so many resources and the performance overall on the game just to have that seamless transition when nobody, and I mean nobody, engages with it in any level. That was so unnecessary, I think. If they could somehow remove that aspect of the game, if that meant a 30% increase in performance, they should do it now. Right now. But anyway, I don't think it's going to happen. It's probably too difficult to do that at this point. There's no real endgame, and the endgame we have is boring. Can be true for some people, not for others. It's easier than earlier entries. Some fan-favorite monsters are still missing. Their online systems is just horrible. I'm guessing he talks, they are talking about the multiplayer, which, a lot of people have pointed that out. I've played every Monster Hunter since Monster Hunter Freedom 2, and this is the first where I lost interest after 100 hours. Sure, 100 hours is pretty good for a game, but not for a Monster Hunter. This is also something that I think we were saying earlier. It's the fact that Monster Hunter games have always had these design behind them, where the idea is to keep you playing as much as possible. And that is not happening as much, for this time around at least. And even then, even when the endgame is not really making people play more, you still find people going back to the game simply because of the love of the franchise. Again, people really like Monster Hunter just in general. I would say that most people are very happy that we have a new entry, and we're trying to somehow come to terms with just how the experience feels, and we're trying to still do our best to enjoy the game, even if we feel that it is lacking in some aspects. There's still plenty of fun that can be had in the game anyway. Somebody replied to this, "For real, this feels like the weakest entry. It's a very hollow Monster Hunter experience. Anytime anyone utters any criticism of this game, they get downvoted to hell, even if it's valid. I think it's all the new players who've never played any of the old games that are dick riding this game that hard. I think this game needs some big overhauls to make it feel like an actual Monster Hunter game." This is something that I mentioned at the beginning. Right now, it is so incredibly difficult to find the bigger picture, right? Because I don't know how many people came to Monster Hunter as a franchise with Wilds. And when I think about it, it is very likely that Wilds offers a new player experience that is just out of this world. In fact, not so long ago, Monster Hunter dropped a diss track to somebody who was like commenting one of his videos. It turns out that this guy was playing Monster Hunter's world, but didn't even seem to complete world. Like, you can watch the video. It's a really fun experience to watch Monster Hunter video, because it just shows the level of dissonance that there can be between people that are newer to the game and people that have been around for a lot of different titles, you know? And that's not a bad thing. I think it becomes a bad thing when people try to kind of discredit older players simply because we are dissatisfied with the experience. But there's a reason for that, right? We're not saying this for the sake. It's not being negative for the sake of being negative. It's actually like kind of like trying to express your frustration that something that was on the game, let's call it like the X factor, might not be there, but we still play. We still want to play this game. We still enjoy it, and we still have fun with our friends or whatever, you know? All right, so after reading a lot of these posts, most of them are about optimization. It seems to be like a very, very important issue right now to fix the optimization in this game, because it is ruining a lot of people's experience. And it's not just like having like FPS drops. I'm very used to playing games with a very, very weak or underperforming machine. And that's because, you know, I used to play World of Warcraft with like 15 to 20 FPS. It is what it is, man. And so for me, it's not like a big deal. I feel that there's a point where like the way that the game looks and like runs becomes a bit of a luxury. And I don't mind playing games at 30 FPS, even if that's like basically dog shit performance by today's standards. But I do think that what's happening with Monster Hunter in particular is that every single type of system and machine and like computer is having problems with the game for different reasons. Like when everybody in the game is having problems, there's obviously like a huge issue with the optimization, you know? So that's what I think is the main problem here. It's not just like because the game is hard to run, it's mostly about we have people here with different systems. You know, some systems are a lot better than others. But even then, there's still problems. So anyways, what do I think we should do moving into the future as a community? Sadly, I think that probably the healthiest thing to do right now is to let the game breathe. It's probably not a good idea to be there like constantly thinking about Monster Hunter and waiting for the game to get better, because the way that things are going right now, it probably shows that the performance and other problems are going to be addressed long term, right? Not because they are not working on it or they don't want to work on it. It's just that there's probably so many things to fix that it's gonna take a while before they can all be addressed. Again, as I said at some point, it's not a good idea to think that a single game can provide you with all the entertainment that you're looking for. I don't think that's a healthy mindset to have. It's the same reason why I don't like when games are trying to kind of like monopolize your time. I don't like that, because I have other things to do in my life, and maybe when it comes to gaming, I have other games that I want to like experience as well. So for the people that are having frustrations with the game, this is what I would advise you to do. Give the game some breathing space, disconnect yourself a little bit, and maybe even do other things Monster Hunter related. Monster Hunter Sunbreak reached the 10 million copies sold. So maybe that's something that you can do now. And there's like a really good Capcom deal right now. Not sure how long that's going to last, but I, for one, like, for example, I'm playing Monster Hunter Stories again because I played the base game, but I never really played the end game, so that's what I'm doing right now. I really like Monster Hunter Stories. It's like it's a really fun game to like pass the time a little bit. But yeah, maybe it's time to give the game some breathing space, and who knows, maybe with time we will see a comeback story like what we saw with No Man's Sky. If you don't know about that, this video from Internet Historian basically gives you the summary of what happened with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was a game that released in a worse state than Monster Hunter Wilds. So if you want an example of how things can be turned around, that would be a perfect example, and I think that's what can keep us with a little bit of hope But for now, it's probably a good idea to just let the game breathe for a while, go do something else, go enjoy other games. People have been playing Expedition 33, people have been playing Night Rain. You know, there's other things going on as well that can allow us to take a break from the whole Monster Hunter sphere and just do something else. It's healthy, it's good for you. Anyways, this was a bit of a long video. I've wanted to do more of these unscripted ones, mostly because sometimes I'm just like thinking about stuff, but I don't have like a story to tell about them. Usually I try to like make my videos thinking of like a more compelling like story that I can tell maybe. But this time around it was just looking at reviews and trying to see what people were saying about Monster Hunter right now. If you agree with some of the things that are shown here on the video, like let me know in the comments, let me know what are your thoughts, or maybe if you disagree with the things that were said. The game has been out for a while, and for most people the honeymoon phase, as it was mentioned at some point, is probably over by now. So now that that has happened, how are you feeling about the game? Let me know in the comments below. I will try to recover from how sick I am right now, so I'll see you guys around. As a side note, pay attention to Meatman's channel, MH Meatman, because he invited me to record one of his videos. So we're going to be talking about other aspects of, you know, the Monster Hunter releases and how usually the release version tends to be a bit lackluster. But then we don't quite remember as such because we are left with the lasting impression that we get once the game is already like fully finished. So keep an eye out for that because it's gonna be good. And as always, my name is Sun. Until next time.